founded the reading in 2004, and for quite a few years now I've been co-hosting it with my wife Tony, who stepped out, but we'll be right back. So one of the things I like about being in this location, which is our fourth physical building and third venue, I guess you could say, is I love bringing a poetry audience into an art gallery, and this month we have the photographs of Dale Strauss, and what he was trying to do here was to find things that people would think were ugly or decaying objects and items, and try to find the beauty in them, which to me sounds like a pretty good description of what art does, often. So Tony is going to hold up the happy hour. I know that it says 4 to 6 on the happy hour, but Leah Jackson, the owner of Angst and Niche, very kindly once a month extends the happy hour for the entirety of the evening for the Ghost Town Poetry Open Mic. So the prices that you see here are the prices for the rest of the night. And remember that we vastly outnumber the people that are here to help us. So tip them, be nice to them, and be patient with them as they try to help you out with your food and drink tonight. This is also going to be especially important after our featured reader. We'll take a break, and I imagine everybody probably goes in there at the same time. Just, you know, try to have a little patience. I don't know if there's anything else to mention.
Leah was going to say hi.
Is Leah going to say hi? Is she ready to say hi? Somewhere? Hey, Morgan, is Leah right there? Because I think she wanted to say hello. If you're new to Vancouver, or new to the Vancouver art scene, I just want you to know that Leah Jackson is one of those people who's doing so much stuff behind the scenes that everybody in Vancouver needs to thank her. Here she is, Leah Jackson.
So I'm going to ask that no one stand back near the refrigerator. Because there's still empty seats, I can find some more chairs. That's my one big ask, is that we're not, because we keep coming in and grabbing things out of the fridge and we have to move you every time. We don't want to move you. But welcome. Otherwise, enjoy.
Yeah, those two are for us, but I'll give up mine.
Well, there's...
All right, so we can, I can give up my seat to one person for this front row, the front row seat
And I
here.
can bring a couple more chairs up.
Okay, and she's going to work on getting some more chairs too. All right, so we have a full list and an amazing feature. You can see there's a whole setup thing going on here, and people for the first time. We're pretty much, you know, an experiment in anarchy since 2004. The only thing I would say to you is right now we've got about 26 people on the list. So that means if you were thinking about, you know, doing anything that was longer than 5 minutes, then basically you're not being very nice to the other people around. So just keep that in mind. That's all I want to say about it. Okay, so we're going to begin tonight's open mic with a great opener, if I ever saw one, Jenny Power. Welcome her, please, to Ghost Town.
In her last years of life, my mother painted butterflies with more enthusiasm than skill. Nothing about them fooled the eye. They were flat, messy, too large for the canvas. She painted them a screaming pink, the color of Pepto-Bismol, the color of hangovers, buyer's remorse, and bad dates. The choice of topic itself seemed a failure, since there is very little one can say about a butterfly that is new. Their symbolic juice has been sucked dry. Metaphors that use butterflies have been known to crackle and disintegrate like a snake's discarded skin, their thematic zing flaking off and dispersing like voyaging dander. As a metaphor for herself, that was a failure too, since she was never a butterfly, because butterflies are the prima ballerinas of the insect world, living their life on tiptoe, gazed upon and gazing, pirouetting in glacial and monastic silence, and flaunting their immunity from boring troubles like loneliness or self-doubt. My mother's child's heart gave the game away, because she could not sustain the cool persona of someone who was used to being admired. Her eagerness made her seem more like Lucille Ball than Audrey Hepburn, more like Calamity Jane than Grace Kelly, even though there were times she could fool you and make you believe that she was Madame Butterfly, at least. I had a lifetime of watching her try to reinvent herself, struggle to be the butterfly from the outside in. No one told her that anyone could put on wings, but it doesn't mean you'll fly. Envy worked her too. She had too many friends from her birth country who liked to flaunt their still intact marriages and their flawless good looks, cheating old age through the intervention of cosmetic science and the restorative benefits of therapy shopping and uninterrupted sleep. They never woke in the middle of the night, dwelling on potential disasters that always seemed to hover on the edges of their life. They never woke to roam the cramped rooms of a cheap apartment and listen to the breathing of daughters they were not always kind to, but who were the fixed mark upon which all their hopes and love converged. She never meant to, but she taught her daughters to believe that it was useless to wish for transformation, that the world was too broken for new butterflies to emerge. Butterflies cannot survive a world with so much cruelty. Too many people trap butterflies for their own amusement, their few precious hours of life wasted inside a jar of glass, their ragged wings fluttering weakly in ineffective protest. Early in our lives, my sisters and I realized that there are no fortress of allies, no secret sanctuary for fragile dreamers. Time itself works against you, intent on pushing the world forward while you struggle to catch your breath in the past. She fought to preserve her chances, so she formed a shell instead of a chrysalis. Every hurt, immediately inflicted or an accidental gift, secreted a barrier which she then thickened and hardened, shielding her from further onslaughts while remaining invisible to the eye. She circled in this purgatory for years until she forgot the feeling of her own power. Even the sound of it escaped her, like notes to a song that clung to her once and then let go. She turned the same corners for decades, the desire for a new direction following her at her heels like a silent and faithful dog. But there were flashes still, quick and vivid, of the girl she once had been, when her voice was a bell and she rang with easy laughter. It would be a lie to say that the cancer diagnosis became her redemptive savior. She had no dramatic epiphanies, no radical insights. Long-dead relatives did not come to her and whisper prophetic assurances in her dreams. It did not turn her, sweet or gentle, or teach her to transcend and forgive, but she thought of butterflies. Over and over she painted them and stacked them in haphazard piles, leaned them against walls and closet doorways like garish farewell messages she'd hoped we'd find. I try to remember that there are more half-mad, half-formed creatures squirming in their story than the iridescent marvels we all yearn to be. Most of us stick to the leafy branches, live at our time in the gray, safe world of the in-between, and then there are others, like my mother, who would rather leap off history and shatter, burn themselves to ash in an eternal cycle of pain and beauty and endless grief, instead of simply accepting what life gives them like a meek and grateful beggar. She was never a butterfly. She was a blaze of them, a seething congregation, a brave new world of flickering memories, wishes, and dreams, ascendant and fallen, translucent and grotesque, stubborn and irreverent, banging against the confines of her life with her terrible innocence, her madness and strength. She painted butterflies, and they crowded her apartment as ill-made and silent harbingers of impending and mundane death. Perhaps she was trying to break off a piece of herself and transplant them onto a canvas as specimens for future generations of the curious to find, or perhaps they were her army. Like terracotta soldiers of long-dead civilization, they were meant to storm the citadel of the afterlife with her, to ensure there would be no repeat of the disappointments which had plagued her former life. I only took one painting. It was smaller than the rest, simpler, and perhaps just a bit more dull. I keep it locked away. The rest we disposed of. We do not need countless handmade artifacts to remind us of who she was. She echoes in us. Her presence flapping like a solitary shadow against the porch light, or like the patter of a hail of wings. And in our hearts, we feel the beginning of our own wings growing, finally. A final reminder that as her daughters, we were always meant to fly.
That's what I'm talking about. Where's Rob Syverson? Oh, we need something. We need to bring people forward.
Because we have some other people.
Raise your hand high if you have an empty seat next to you. Are there any of those left? right, there's one over here.
So there's an empty
This
chair.
way. Is there?
An empty
Oh,
chair there.
I gotta grab my wine.
right, yeah. Wasn't kidding about them needing to get. Yes. We're all happy that there's this many people here. We just have to make sure that everything is safe and the people that are working here can do what they need to do. And yes, Rob, you are up next. So, yeah. So next we're going to hear from Rob Syverson. So the up and down swing of the microphone begins now. What do you think? Is that high enough?
I don't know. We'll try. Yeah, Rob. That's perfect. You did really well.
I do say so myself.
This one's about being on a plane and being, because I'm tall, so it just sucks flying. It's, your heart bleeds for me? Is that what I'm hearing? So cramped, I feel like a zombie in my own skin, unaware of the tugging of gravity in this concealed space of epic deprivation. Plane, you don't know, you fool. You just gone away, doing what you're programmed to do. Got it? My bad.
Everyone's still here, Rob, in the back. Good? Yeah.
Okay. You guys cool? We good? Okay. Plane, you don't know, you fool. You just gone away, doing what you're programmed to do. Your unionized pilot doesn't even fly you. Not unlike any other political mass-produced atrocity. Plane, I need to break out and parachute away from this germ-battered death march. Oh, the essence of it all, the movies, the books, or the garbage can of intoxicants buried in an orifice or two. Yeah, thank you, TSA pre-check. Please don't tell the man plane. The recycled air, all-you-can-eat pretzel buffet, seats in upright juxtaposition. Please gather all your impersonal belongings. Oh, I can't breathe this toxicity anymore. Please fill out the Mile High Life, the Mile High for Life Gong Show. No thanks, plane. I'm too grounded for that. And this one is about, this is just about art in general, and like, I think it's kind of the reason we're all kind of here is it's, we just have to get away from the world and do our art, and it does so much for us, and in so many ways. It does a lot for me too, so. This is called Protect the Art. Our artistic souls guide and shape our swerve-driven path. Bright neon strobes might light the way, but poetic solitary confinement carves a niche of artistic enrichment. We must not only protect, but nourish. I shake, tremble, can't breathe. The fright of the day is heightened. But something happens when the pen strikes up a sometimes strident or even tear-driven conversation. With the static, steadying force of the meek, docile paper. This free-flowing inkwell has generated so much hip-hop, sauce rhymes and backbeats and Bob Dylan gold rush and lyrical sawdust, but it isn't always ready to be cut or flash flooding our minds. There are lulls. There is a reservoir of splattered textures that's there to cradle our thoughts and crack open a window into our beings where the birds can fly. If we cultivate the equity and harvest the art, our souls will be quenched. Feel it and flourish. This one's about something that's really, really difficult sometimes for people. Just letting shit go. And that's what it's called, so it's called Let It Go. Let the habitual negative archive box up, pin a wagon of baggage go. Write it out. Get out of its way. Ease the triple axle turnstile doorway. Shove the wagon into a hemorrhaging dark, lonely corner of your ghost closet. Slip out the back door. Wander. Walk in the front. Own the sun. Take it to your tabernacle choir. Tone deaf, peaceful feedback loop. So I'm not done yet. Just let it go. Drop D, tune, crunch toned, open G. Rescue the seeds you've sown. Beautiful, beautiful naked harmonies won't sing themselves. Break the seal of euphoria. Grab the records. Change the strings. Stay out of the way from the people who sit too long. Find your struggle. No need for armchair QB and their arthritic arithmetic. Let it go. And I close without any opposition to random hellos, drunken drive-by snuggle fests, and letting that shit go into an outhouse collapse galaxy.
Thank you. As Rob showed us, as long as you allow it to continue to be attached to the cord, you can take the microphone off the stand. Okay, next we are going to hear from Autumn Folk. Come on up, Autumn.
Yeah. Thank you, Dave, for letting us use your keyboard. We're Autumn Folk. We're a duet team. We do folk blues.
He is Johnny and I'm Lisa.
Yes, these are all original. Well, one original. We'll come back, I promise. I'm good. Told it, very
Rain, rain, go away. Come again some other day. Rain, rain, go away. Come again some other day.
Kisses taste like bitterness and pain,
Like Pacific Northwest rain.
like disappointment and tears.
Brought about by storm fronts and fears. Story of things that weren't so clear, that drove you insane. All your plans were driven down in the rainfalls that sunk the ground, causing landslides to tow your heart away. And now your loving tastes like sorrow, like there's no tomorrow after yesterday. Pacific Northwest rain.
When will the sun come out
again?
When are you coming home?
Because I don't want to live alone in this Pacific Northwest rain. Life is greener on the side. Still I cannot hide with my smile fades. I see the people look aside. They avoid my eyes to avoid the rain. As the cloud fronts gather around and my teardrops hit the ground, I realize it's another rainy day.
Your kisses would taste like
like pure perfection in this drizzled haze. Pacific Northwest rain. When will the sun come out again?
When are you coming home?
Because I don't want to live alone in this Pacific Northwest rain.
I heard the rainfall sing your name.
To call you back again, but no answer was heard. You've flown away to warmer days, far away from the winter's words. But still they sing to you, reminding you, asking you, when will you warm yourself in my arms again?
Instead I am looking through closed doors
That won't open anymore.
to my song's weeping verses.
Pacific Northwest rain.
When will the sun come out again? When are you coming home?
Because I don't want to live alone in this Pacific Northwest rain. Rain, rain, go away, come again some other day. Rain, rain, go away, come again some other day.
People are making us look all professional and shit tonight. We like to make jokes at our own expense. Diana DeLuca. Come on up, Diana.
I always do battle with these things. Is this all right? Okay. All you need to know, I've got two poems, but all you really need to know about the first one is that when Columbine happened, I was living in Denver, about a mile away from the school. When I was living in Centennial, Colorado, when that fellow went into the movie house and shot it up at midnight when they were just looking at a Batman premiere, I guess. I was in Tulsa at the Tucson, excuse me, at the Botanical Garden, when across the road, Gabby Giffords got shot and 6 people were killed. And then to just finish it off, I was in Las Vegas the day before that fellow shot the people in the venue, listening to the music across the road. We drove up and down right in front of the Mandalay Bay Hotel, and I suppose he was up there above us, training his rifles down on us. I feel like a jinx sometimes. And so this poem,
We're all in here with you.
must be my English voice. You know? You've never forgiven us for the War of 1812. I can hear the spell. This is called the Tolem. Statistics cannot console, they can only describe. 2017, 59 dead, Las Vegas. 2016, 5 dead, Burlington, Washington. 2015, 49 dead, Orlando. 270 million guns in the US, more than its people. 40% of families with 1 gun or more. 3%, 17 or more. 50 states permit open carry. 46 permit concealed carry. 2014, 9 dead, Charleston. 2013, 9 dead, Washington, D.C. 2012, 12 killed, Colorado. 33,000 lives lost each year. 3,500 children under 17 annually. 19 under 18 dead every day. Columbine, Virginia, Paducah, Sandy Hook, Roseburg. The list uncoils, squeezing the life out of the trees in the garden. Over 1 million gun deaths since John Lennon died on a New York sidewalk. More deaths in the Civil War, more than both world wars together. 2011, 6 dead, Tucson Safeway parking lot. 2010, 8 dead, Hartford, Connecticut. 2009, 13 dead, Fort Hood, Texas. Statistics do not persuade, they can only reveal. Statistics do not console, they can only describe. I didn't even have to write that. All you have to do is to go online and look at these statistics, and when you put them together, they are overwhelming. It's like found poetry. This second poem, when all of this broke with Weinberg and these men in prominent positions doing nasty things over a long period of time, I was asked by a male colleague, a male associate, friend, why it was that women were only coming forward now, 30 years later, but they were speaking of what had happened as if it had happened yesterday. It had an immediacy to it, a power of recollection. And I tried to explain that it was the culture, it was the atmosphere. And I realized that my answer was not an adequate one. And so, taking the liberty of my age, coming from a different set of realities, I hope you'll realize that what I'm talking about may not apply as much today, or by golly, I think it does. And also that what I'm going to talk about applies as much to men. Women have no monopoly on being bullied, harassed, or sexually assaulted. But I have to know more about the women's side of it. But please take what I'm going to read as applying to everyone. Okay? I call this voices, mostly because I'm talking about voices from the past. And bear with me because I'm going to be very, very honest. When I was 6 and playing in the park, a man sat down on a bench next to me. His hand slipped up my leg and pushed aside my underwear. I ran away and told my mother. Did he hurt you? When I said no, no harm done, she said. But why were you sitting next to him? So when I was 6, I learned it was my place to know when and how to avoid these things. And when things happened despite that vigilance, it was my fault and not the fault of my molester. It was Christmas Day, and I was 10. My mother took me to the nurse's day room. One doctor insisted on kissing all the nurses. And when it came to me, he kissed me on the lips and placed his boozy tongue inside my mouth. I looked in panic at my mother, but she put her finger on her lips and gave a little knowing frown. After he was gone, my mother said he was a doctor. He thought you were a pretty child, that's all. He'd had a little drink or two. No harm done, she said. So when I was 10, I learned that power and reputation mean careless privilege accepted as entitlement. I learned the deference given to success. When I was 11 and traveling with my mother, a porter on a French train winked at me, put his finger on his lips, and rubbed his crotch. He thought you beautiful, my mother later said. He may think you're older and expect it. A sophisticated woman knows how to use a smile and polite rejoinder. No harm done, she said. So when I was 11, I learned I should be flattered and judge my attractiveness to men by whatever beauty they chose to see in me. Man's place to try, woman's to deny. No harm done, my mother said. Oh, but there was harm, and every woman knows it. At 13, in a girls' school, we were writers, artists, leaders, scientists, and thinkers. But when the real world came, those voices stilled, and only the girls knew what the world had lost. At 17, I married an older man, as much to gain his protection as for my love of him. In the eyes of those around me and the world, I became my husband's property. Today, with the ice-cut fact of time, I scorn religions come from the Near East, Islam and Christianity among them, that dried out the wisdom of the women. I scorn those willfully oblivious to powerful men who carelessly impose dominion with no concern for those they damage. But most of all, I scorn those women, complicit in forces of the culture, pandering to power for their own reasons, imposing on their children their own abuse, claiming no harm done, as my mother's mothers did.
Thank you. Next, we're going to hear from our friend Greg Bai. Come on up, Greg.
Yes, okay. The theme of this poetry and chop prose presentation is protest against a system that willfully sacrifices its people, especially its young people, on the altar for the benefit of the few. I will begin with my revision of section 2 of the classic poem, Howl. What sphinx of cement and aluminum bashed open their skulls and ate up their brains? An imagination. Moloch, Moloch, nightmare of Moloch. Moloch the loveless. Moloch whose mind is pure machinery. Moloch whose blood is running money. Moloch, Moloch, robot apartments, invisible suburbs. They broke their backs lifting Moloch to heaven, which exists and is everywhere around us. Visions, omens, hallucinations, miracles, ecstasies gone down the American river, breakthroughs over the river, real holy laughter in the river. They saw it all. They bade farewell. They jumped off the roof, down to the river, real holy laughter in the river. And now I will read a poem by the great surrealist poet Philip Lamantia. Voice of Earth Mediums. We are truly fed up with mental machines of peace and war, nuclear monoxide brains, cancerous computers, motors sucking our hearts of blood, that once the chorus of natural birds. We've had enough dynamos and derricks, thud-thud-thudding valves and pulleys of the devil Menken's invention, and soon, if they aren't silenced, and we survive the sacrificial altars of the automobile god and the vulvas of steel spitting molecular madness through layers of satanic dust, if the complete crowd-manical machine isn't dissolved back into the earth from where its elements were stolen, we shall call on the great ocean wave. Nectar of waters and the king of Atlantis and his snake spirits, otherwise known as Orchid. Dragon and Drac, to send up calamitous tidal waves 1,000 feet high if need be, to bury all the monster metal cities and their billion bullion wheels of chemical death. Oh, William Blake, thou canst overseer, if it please thee, this lesson of Aquarius clean sweep, that Earth's beautiful spirit of purifying ocean shall stop these weights on the plunder of her metal blood and very thin skin to teach us Paris songs of Taoist harmonies. And the finale is an original. This is called A Millennial's Lament, inspired by my nephew Patrick, who by coincidence is here today. He's a true millennial who should spend more time in the Vancouver Arts District. I am so done with living out here. Out in the county, I want to move to the big city of my choice. Portland, Seattle, San Francisco, Vancouver, BC. Where all the cool stuff happens. Unfortunately, everything I read and hear about, these places tell me the cost of housing is too damn high. Oh, sure, I can move to Portland, on the east side. Out in the numbers, where as far as I know, there aren't any art galleries. No chic boutiques either. Nor are there coffee bars to write in or work on watercolors. Hell, not even a goddamn Barnes & Nobles to shoot the shit in. Where are the hipsters out in the vicinity of 155th N Division? None to be found. Try taking a walk out there to experience neighborhood ambiance. That would be nice, except the blocks aren't gridded. Go for it. Start strolling in one direction, then discover yourself walking the opposite way, 20 blocks from where you began. Do the cul-de-sac blues. No, I want to live in one of those inner neighborhoods, close to the river. You know, where all the new condos are sprouting, where all the hipster techies are moving with their six-figure salaries and $30,000 sinus bonuses. Hell, that's almost as much as I clear in a year. Hey, I got a degree from a prestigious journalism department, and what wisdom were we given there? Your chosen profession has been transformed by the new, ever-changing cyber reality. Jobs in journalism are no longer abundant. Television, radio, print media. You have to stand out. Beat the odds. Be the 1 in 1,000 who lands a job. You can do it. Be the best. Yeah, and there are inmates who stand out in slave labor camps too. Be the 1 in 1,000. Bang your head against the wall, better yet. Laugh at me, mock me all you want, you tech zombies. Your high-rolling days are numbered, I hear. So live and spend well now, while you still got it. This out-of-control gig economy will one day make you obsolete too. Derail your gravy train, more likely sooner than later. Your jobs all outsourced to cheap labor nations. Either that or a bot will render you to redundancy. You'll be forced to vacate that overpriced condo by the river and move out to where the avenues have triple digits, where the blocks are not gridded and you can buy lukewarm coffee at the 7-Eleven 24 hours a day. Go on, fill out those online resumes for the scarce barista positions with a $15 an hour wage, along with the skimpy benefits. Mark my words, techers, you're next. Thanks.
Hi, everybody. I'm Tony, co-host. Hello. Got a lot of people at the back, too. Are there any open chairs at this point? There's one over here. Can somebody come and sit? We have to keep the walkway there as clear as possible. Okay, thank you. Welcome. Wow, we are really full, aren't we?
Yeah.
This is great, and I know that you've all come out to see Dane tonight. Absolutely. This is Ghost Town Poetry. It's been around in Vancouver since 2004. So we've been around a long time. For some of you who've been coming all that time, there are a few of you in the room. Others who come periodically, and we see some new faces tonight. So I'm really happy to see you all. We are going to have a few more open mic readers, and then we're going to ask Dane to come up and do his thing for us. So next we're going to hear from Patrick McLaughlin. Patrick, come on out. Raise that mic back over here. Let me go around on this side. Yeah.
Hi. My poem's really short. It's kind of been a year in the making, but more this evening. I work at a psychiatric facility here in Vancouver, and my second week there, we had this client, I believe he had schizophrenia. And it's a very small unit, and I was in the nurse's station, and I heard this guy begin poetically saying things. And this poem is a continuation of his thoughts. Emotional health, emotional health, emotional health. We always talk about our spiritual health, our mental health, and our physical health, but we never talk about emotional health. When you walk on the beach and breathe in the fresh sea air, that's emotional health. When you get a brand new kitty cat, that's emotional health. When you take a hot bath after spending hours playing in the cold snow, that's emotional health. When you crack the spine open of a brand new book and smell the scent of crisp paper and sweet glue, knowing you're beginning a new adventure, that's emotional health. When you breathe the sweet scent of a freshly bloomed rose bush on your first walk of the spring, That's emotional health. When you laugh so hard from a funny film that your abs hurt, that's emotional health. When you kiss your romantic partner after a long absence without seeing them, that's emotional health. When you take a sip of a cold Arnold Palmer and are relaxing in the shade with the balmy summer breeze and cooling sweat glistening on your forehead after mowing your acre-and-a-half lawn, when you're at work and a client with a different way of thinking about the world we all share gives you inspiration to present a poem and provides you with the intrinsic rewards that remind you to keep doing the work you are doing, that's emotional health. Thank you.
Say hello to Scott, everybody. Scott's going to help us with sound tonight. Appreciate it.
Right now, I'm just going.
He's leaving.
We're all screwed.
I thought he was going to help me out with the microphone.
He's helping everyone except for Tony.
Scott. Thanks a lot, Scott. Wherever you went. But anyway, I got it. Yeah, you know, I struggle with it every month. I mean, you think by now I would understand how this thing works. The up, down, this way, that way, but I don't. It's all right. I can't put that on my resume. Anyhow, our next reader tonight is, and has been for years, involved in the Poets in the Schools program. And we'll tell you a little bit about that program later on. Please welcome Morgan Hutchinson.
I'm going to move this if that's okay. Kind of feeling like doing a little something different. I don't want to block you though. Okay. Talk about emotional health. I'm doing something different tonight. There's a couple of different things I'm doing tonight. Hi, by the way. I'm really excited to be here. My heart is pumping. This is why I'm here. I love this. I love being on this mic. Actually, it kind of terrifies me, but I love that. Speaking of emotional health, right? Pushing those boundaries. I'm so excited to be here tonight to celebrate Dane. And yes, his hip-hop artistry, which I love. And I'm actually going to rap tonight for you, for Dane, but also for Ian. Where are you, Ian? Hi, Ian. Ian challenged me to get on the mic and rap some, so I'm not going to read any of my own work tonight, which is different for me. I usually like to read my own work and read something new, but tonight I'm going to rap something that I learned in high school, so let's see if I remember it. If not, I've got my phone with the lyrics on it, so we'll see what happens. It is called, it's 2 verses. It is by an underground hip-hop artist called Benefit, and it's called Supreme. You definitely better respect me before I check the pressure per square inch your face can withstand directly. Beats so nice they spoil me. True loyalty. I flip a sample so sick I'm never paying royalties. I demand to be held high like big salary. Don't ride my dick, you get burned like 1 calorie. I can hold my own and I'm soon to be known. From the biggest city down to where the wild cattle roam. Low budget, this is no budget. I'm broker than broke. So dirty, cheap, and raw that you're choking a smoke. Inhale and exhale, electrifyingly real. My microphone is handcrafted from a live 3rd rail. Fall off, you might as well, you bite as well. That'll send you right to hell. Benefit prevail, about time it's done. And I blaze so hot I outshine the sun, continuous. So how do you plan to stop this? You can't even come close to me like Loch Ness. Topless, no bottom, no sides, no space. That's how I kill MCs and leave no trace. Go ahead and try to find evidence, but benefits ghosts like dead presidents. Why'd you step up with bad luck too? Looks like you gamble real high in a game of fuck you. No questions? Supreme. No questions? Supreme. No questions? Supreme. All reality is supreme. I'm broken money, but I'm rich in beats. And I ain't joking funny off the coke and rum, he got your bitch in heat. An MC wanted to be like me, I saw. I dragged his ass in gravel and said, now you're raw. Explain to me. It's obviously plain to see the industry supports awfully lame MCs. Time to change this, rearrange the games list, realize the game's best often remain nameless. Beware what Benny brings, he's aware of everything. Till death do us hip-hop, where's my wedding ring? I'm above every MC like Yankees caps. You're learning how to rhyme, better think these raps. But don't call it that, call it hip-hop, cause it is. I got you shaking like those epileptic kids. My thoughts move at a rate called ill speed. DJs try to scratch this, their fingers will bleed. I try to help MCs out, they just won't listen. Just a little criticism causes critical condition. You know what's incredibly pitiful? Submission. Don't sell your integrity, you get no commission. Thank you.